Another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is why I bought a duck hunting boat. There's a lot of reasons as to why it's a good investment to get a duck hunting boat or to get a boat or to get a canoe, and it doesn't really cost a lot of money in the aspect of just getting a kayak, for instance. I bought one from a Walmart and put a decent paint job on it. Went out and picked some grass and learned how to weave it and kind of decked it all out, and it cost me under 200 bucks. And you got to think, how many times you're going to go out on public land and get stuck in that spot because the water's too deep, or down a bird in a spot that's too deep. And if you don't have a dog, you're going to run into some problems. And so making that investment changed duck hunting for me entirely. I went probably 4 seasons, and it was rough. You had to pick different spots because of the water depth, or you had to go to a different area, or if you downed a bird too far out. There's just so many reasons why having something to be able to get out and get away has benefited me. I've bought just a generic, like I said, a generic kayak. In some places, you got to check your regulations because every state's different, but some places you're not allowed to bring boats on. In some places, you can only have like a Piru or a belly boat, or you can only hunt certain areas because some of the waterways are private. So make sure you check your local regulations before you just go out and make that $200 investment, or $300 or $500, or however much you're going to spend, because you got to be able to get to where you need to go, but you also have to follow the rules, because some places where I hunt have wildlife management areas, and you're not allowed to take anything on the water to an extent. Like, you can take belly boats and you can take things that aren't powered by motor or trolling motors. So we hunt this flooded soybean field, and it's probably 700 yards long, and it's probably, I don't know, 150 yards wide. And it's weird because all the way around the perimeter, like a picture frame, it goes down to about just before you're gonna get wet, and then you get over that little hump right when you get in, and then it gets to about ankle deep water all the way across. So it's kind of weird if you want to hunt that one corner where it's deep, or you've got the water inlet where it's a little deeper. You got to kind of make sure you be careful. And so like I said, buying the canoe and buying the boat for me not only got me away from a lot of the public land problems that I'm sure a lot of you guys have, it gives you an opportunity for a little bit more freedom. You can get to places that are more accessible to an extent, because not every place is really super accessible in waterfowl hunting, but for me, it got me to a place that, I'm not 150 yards away from a guy anymore, which is comfortable for me, but it's like you walk and you walk and you walk, and you're carrying all that heavy equipment, or you got smart and you bought yourself a deer cart, or you rigged up something. You're still walking. And don't get me wrong, there are places that I still hunt that it's a good walk to get in there, and it's great. Usually really pan out and shoot a lot of birds, and in those hunts you kind of got to earn. But cheating a little bit and getting a little older and getting a little wiser and getting a little financially more stable, it really, really helps. I bought a boat because I wanted that kind of independence to go more places. Where I hunt, there's a lot of big lakes, and it's kind of hard to walk all the way around a lake, 2-3 miles, and then if you forget something, or you got to go back and that takes a long time, or if the water's too deep in a certain spot, it sucks. But you can do it, but in my opinion, it was just rough. It was rough for me because I didn't know how accessible those things were at an earlier stage. I probably would have been more successful. River hunting with the boat has been a challenge. Learning how to read rivers, getting maps. The best thing I invested in is the Striker 4 by Garmin. It's a trolling motor. Or it's not a trolling motor, excuse me. It's a fish finder GPS. It's got 4-in-1. I paid $100 for it. The product is awesome. I'm not sponsored. This video is not sponsored. It truly is a great product, and it shows me the temperature of the water. It shows me the route, and it shows me where the spots are. And when I'm going to a new place in my boat, I'm not gonna haul the hay and hurry to get there. What I like to do when I get on the rivers, especially the rivers, is I just like to cruise, putt. I like to go up into there, and just something that's safe, that if you do run into a log or you do run into a stump or something, it's not going to flip you off your boat. You're not going to be in a problem or get yourself in a bind that could potentially be life-threatening, because when you start hunting in the winter, the water's cold, and you have all of your investments and all your equipment is with you. So unless you know your waterways really, 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 really well, get up a little earlier. I'm not saying you got to be there an ungodly amount of time, but I like to take my time. I'm not going to be the guy that's going to camp out and stay overnight to get to a spot over someone else. I'm not that hunter. I'm not that guy. There's people that will go to these public land hunting places that I go to, and it says the minimum time you can be on the property is 1 hour before shooting light, and they'll stay the night at 9 o'clock and they won't leave just to get that one spot. And that's what kind of sucks is, everybody is not necessarily buddy-buddy, but it seems like when everybody gets out to their blind, they have, I don't know, just this, everybody just gets kind of, I don't want to say greedy or conceited, I don't know the word, but I wish we could kind of portray a better outlook at public land to where more people could get involved. But we have to fix a lot of things. And maybe we can try, we can work on it, we can help. As long as you educate, you're trying. So, I'm not trying to get too off topic about public land and all the problems, but getting a boat for me has helped me a lot with public land, and it's going to help you a lot tremendously as far as having issues with, being so close to people. Because I don't know about you guys, but I cannot stand being 75, 150 yards next to someone on the same spot. Like, I just don't like it. You go to a pond, it's really designed for one group, 2 max, and there's people sitting 45 yards, 50 yards down. Like, no, it's dangerous. But people put their time and their money into it, and they just go do it. And then they say, well, if I don't do it, this guy will, and I don't do it, this guy will. Well, no. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to, we'll say spot A out at this place, and I'll go sit out there, and I'll get there 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the morning, and I gotta walk a good 45 minutes, and I get out there and I get my stuff, and there's no time constraint on being at this place, and 5 o'clock rolls around and a guy sits 50 feet from me, 100 yards right next to me, and that bums you out, because it does play a factor in messing with the birds and letting them work. And public land's notorious for people sky busting and shooting birds way too high, and when birds are circling your decoys, other people are shooting at them, and it sucks. And that's why I bought a boat. Not necessarily because that's going to defeat it, but it's going to get it, for me in my particular instance, it gets me away from everybody. There's so many places I can go that are accessible by boat now that I didn't have, that I don't have to be next to that guy anymore, get lucky, I can just, well, if someone's here, boom, and go. Or you can tell them, hey, there's plenty of river, you know what I mean? But a lot of people don't care. A lot of people drove all the way out there and are still going to hunt no matter if it ruins your time or not, which needs to stop. And I can't fathom how much just talking to people and being humble with them and not being rude helps. You know, I've came up to groups of guys and I said, introduced myself. Hey, how you guys doing today? I'm not here to tell you to move. I don't want to get hurt. You know, like, I'm not saying that you don't have the self control and understanding, but normally, if someone came up to me and said, "Hey, man, I was here before you. You're 150 yards away. I don't feel safe with you being here. Can you please move down further?" For me, I'm not going to get upset about it. Like, I'm just not. And I'll go. Like, if he wants me to go down another couple hundred yards and it's not going to be as good of a spot, that's my choice. You don't have to be that hunter that is going to sit on top of someone and ruin it for everybody. You can, the early bird gets the worm to an extent. You don't have to stay there overnight, and you don't have to be that guy that squats on the land, because that's just not even fair for anybody. But if you invest your time in it, I can't tell you what to do. But as long as you follow the rules, you show up the time you're supposed to, and you get to the spot that you want, I mean, we just all need to start being more courteous to each other, because I can't tell you how many, like I said, how many parking lots I pulled into thinking I was going to be the first one there, 3:34 in the morning, and it's completely flooded. And I've just turned around and went to another spot. It doesn't mean I killed less birds, doesn't mean I killed more birds, but it's still a gamble at best, because you don't know, just because you're going to go to that spot doesn't mean, even if you scouted it and there's hundreds of birds coming into it, that doesn't mean that you're going to get to walk out unharmed, because people make mistakes. People do things crazy. And it's not worth the risk, it's not worth the issues, and it's not worth making people upset. So one thing I try to do, and I don't do it because, you know, like I'm lazy, or because, you know, oh, someone beat me again, because if you did that every single time, you have nowhere to hunt. But that's what gets you moving around. That's what gives you more places to develop not necessarily an arsenal of spots, but if you know 2 consistent places to hunt, then hunt them. If someone gets there before you and they get your spot and you don't know where else to go, it's okay to go back home. Even though you want to hunt, even though you've tried, if it's too small of an area to be safe, just go. It's not a big deal. That's what I've done, and I can't tell you how many times I've been bummed. Like, oh man, like I sat there and I scouted, and this guy beat me to my spot. But as long as they're in legal regulations of what time they can be there, and there's no time frame stipulation as to when they can be there, and they get you. And my point in that is when you go home, what do? You know, you're bummed. What I started doing is I got on these forum pages and this map place and it shows you all the public land hunting in your state. And this tool is worth its weight in gold. It shows you every spot. It shows you private and public through the entire state. You can type in your zip code and just kind of follow it. And I'll get the app for you guys. I'll leave a link in the description in the next video, or I'll pull it up and write a comment down of what it is. But it's an awesome app. And you can look it up. You can mark spots on it. You can get on your Garmin fish finder, and you can put those coordinates in, and you can get there. Like, once you get up to the spot, if it's water, it'll take you right to it. And that's what got me kind of having more of a variety, because if you go hunt the same 2, 3, 4 spots on a public land, because you're a public guy, and, you know, where I live, a majority of the state is privately owned. Up in the 90 percentiles is what I was told. Whether that's true or not, I'm not 100% sure, but I've knocked on doors and people have told me no. I've knocked on doors and people have cussed at me. I've knocked on doors and people asked me for an ungodly amount of money to come. And for a middle-class citizen, I'm not saying it's the most hardest thing to achieve, finding a lease or finding a place to go hunt that gets you away from other people. You put in the work, you might get a reward. But I do have one this year, and I actually work with that person, And they told me, yeah, you can come out, just help me clean up my place a little bit, and give me some meat every once in a while, fry it up for me, we'll have dinner or supper together, no problem. But those little, I wouldn't say deals, but those little awesome spots are very few and far from between where I live. And that's what sucks, is you can't just knock on someone's door anymore because people have ruined it. People go out there and leave their trash, people go out there and leave their shells, people go out there and just ruin people's land and destroy it. Not to the aspect where it's unsalvageable, but just complete disrespect it toward the liability, and everybody being so sue happy now, and you slip and fall and break your leg or something, you're gonna sue the land. Like, I don't know who's ever done that. It's ridiculous, but it's ruined a lot for a lot of us average guys, because I don't know about you, but right now I can't afford to go drop $25, $35, $4,500 on a waterfowl lease, or even $1,200 on a waterfowl lease right now. That's not financially okay for me at the moment. Now, I'm not saying that you can, and that will help you. You can join clubs, but the biggest thing I've learned to do is get in touch with Facebook. Get on these local groups, these duck hunting groups, these pages, and start talking to people, because there's a lot of people out there that are good, genuine people. I've talked to 5, 6 people that I've never met in my entire life that, hey man, let's get together, man, shoot the breeze. Let's go hang out, grab a beer, or have some lunch and get to know each other. I'd love to have a hunting buddy. Awesome, awesome stuff. But then the minute they don't know you and they're across the pond from you, and you ask them to move, and they want to curse at you every name under the sun. I don't know why people are like that. I was taught 200 yards. When my mentor, Tiger, took me out hunting, took me with him, took me to private places with him, I was his little, apprentice. And I don't know why, I just met him one day on public land, and he said, you want to hunt together? And I said, sure, I don't want to hunt alone. And that was kind of my little tactic. I'd go out there, and I'd be the first one there, and I'd wait for the first car to pull up and be like, hey, I got the best spot, you want to hunt with me? And that's how I met a lot of people, and that's how I made a lot of friends. But unfortunately I moved, like I said, years back, so 200 yards. Like left, right, in front of me, like bare minimum, like 200 yards. No ifs, ands, or buts. Not to the exact yard, but I'm not going to be able to see the color of your eyes. I'm not going to be able to see you blink. I'm not going to be able to hear your conversation. I'm going to give you that good distance, because that's what I want. And not everybody portrays that, especially, I like my page, Millennial Waterfowl. Not all of us grew up with a self-entitlement or self-righteousness to, participation trophies and all this. Not all of us grew up like that, I learned how to duck hunt from an old school guy. You put in the hard work, you take your time. It's not about shooting, it's not about killing, it's about everything. And it took me a lot of years to realize that. Like I said, this is my 10th year, coming up on my 10th season. And I've learned a lot about conservation, and I actually just went to that Ducks Unlimited banquet yesterday for my chapter. Awesome time, awesome people, awesome cause. Highly recommend getting into something like that. There's always room to learn. There's always room for improvement. And 90% of it is people. You talk to people, and you're gonna get somewhere. They're gonna teach you something. They're gonna give you that. If you're a likable type of person, someone will invest their time in you. And I kind of refuse to go hunting alone. I hate it. I hate it. Absolutely hate it. I have no one to share it with except you guys now, which is awesome. But still, you kind of want that camaraderie of like, did you see that shot, bro? Like, heck yeah, I did. So what I'm finalizing with everything now is, when I bought my boat, I bought it to kind of get away from all the hubba lubba on public land. I'm not saying that it's going to defeat the purpose. I'm not saying it's going to defeat the purpose for you. The ice could come early, and once the ice is there, the boats really are that good anyway, and it's all back to free for all as it is. But you know, there's a lot of places that you can explore, and I'm all about, I want to know more places. So, oh well, hey guys, here, man, I can go here now, and you get one lease. That doesn't mean you go hunt it every single weekend.